Does anybody remember where we left
I
this?
think it's chapter 6, right?
No,
Oh,
no.
sorry, Canto. Okay. Sorry. I'm getting confused.
I think we already done all this. Can I go down? I can tell you.
Okay, you go ahead and let me
By Lord Chaitanya. And it is actually the entire essence of the Vedic knowledge is contained in the Shrimad Bhagavatam. So the chapter that we are reading right now is the chapter from the 6th canto, 2nd chapter, and this is a story of Ajamila. And many times when we take up this process of spiritual life, we always have this fear that what if I take it up and then I'm not able to keep up with it. So in Ajamila's case, that is exactly what happens, that he's not able to keep up his spiritual practices. And not just that, but he actually, undergoes like a complete, a fall down, in the way we speak, is a fall down, which means that he is not able to follow any vows, and he starts to really degrade himself to a very, very low level of consciousness. So we'll continue. So we see how, at the time of death, he calls out to his son Narayan, and how both the Vishnu Dutas and the Yamadutas, or the messengers of death, and as well as the messengers of Lord Vishnu, they arrive there to claim him as belonging to them. So they're having a conversation here. So again, continuing on, although one may neutralize the reactions of sinful life through austerity, charity, vows, and other such methods, these pious activities cannot uproot the material desires in one's heart. However, if one serves the lotus feet of the personality of Godhead, he is immediately freed from all such contamination. So this is a purport by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. As stated in Shrimad Bhagavatam, Bhakti Parishanubhava Viraktir Anyatracha. Devotional service is so powerful that one who performs devotional service is immediately freed from all sinful desires. All desires within this material world are sinful because material desire means sense gratification, which always involves action that is more or less sinful. Pure bhakti, however, is anya abhilashita shunya. In other words, it is free from material desires, result from kind jnana. One who is situated in devotional service no longer has material desires, and therefore is beyond sinful life. Material desires should be completely stopped. Otherwise, although one's austerities, penances, and charity may free one from sin for the time being, one's desires will reappear because his heart is impure. Thus, he will act sinfully and suffer. So there's a very important thing that is being brought out here, and which is the definition of pure bhakti. And if I understand our discussion so far correctly, I think this is the first time we are encountering this definition of pure bhakti. So I think in the beginning of our discussion, I remember mentioning that one of the things that attracted me most to this process of Krishna consciousness was just the ability to know what is pure and what is impure. Kind of like if you know what is pure gold, the chemical composition of pure gold, then you can go to any part of the world and you can find pure gold, because you know what is pure gold made up of, and what it is that one should look for. So Rupa Goswami, who is one of the foremost teachers of bhakti in our line, he lays down this definition of pure bhakti, which is anya abhilashita shunyam jnana karmadi anavritam anukullena krishnanushilanam bhaktir uttama. So in English, it means anya abhilashita shunya, which means that no other desire. Shunya means zero, and abhilasha means desire. So all the other desires, they become zero, which means no other desire in performance of bhakti. And then it goes on to describe what those tinges could be in the practice of bhakti. So it says, not just that there are no material desires, but also completely free from any taint of jnana and karma. So jnana means this monoistic knowledge, right? This desire for impersonation. So no desire for that. And karma means, yes, I'm performing bhakti, but then I have a fruitive mentality, which means that I'm doing something and then I'm thinking, okay, if I do this and maybe I'll get this in return. It might be something even very subtle. Obviously, as devotees, we may not have a gross desire, but the taints are still there, where we may still have this, I'm doing bhakti, so yeah, at least I'm entitled to a good, happy life or something. So pure bhakti is defined as no desire for anything material, also completely devoid of any tinges of jnana and karma. But then that's also not enough. Then there is a positive definition, which means that anukulyena krishnanushilanam, that those activities that we perform should be favorable for Krishna, and it should be performed with the desire for pleasing Krishna. So I can perform activities, but if I'm mindless about it, or if I'm not trying to do them with the intention of pleasing Krishna, then also that does not constitute Shuddha Bhakti or pure Bhakti. And then the last line is Bhakti Uttama. So that kind of Bhakti is actually Uttama Bhakti. Also in Shrimad Bhagavatam, right in the very beginning, also it is described the standard of pure bhakti, and it says, completely rejecting all materially motivated religion, this Bhagavad Purana propounds the highest truth. So again, no material motivation in the execution of bhakti. That is, along with that, a desire to actually please the Supreme Lord. So those two things, when they come together, that's what constitutes pure bhakti. So now if we take a moment to think about it, most of the religions in the world, whether they're in India or outside of India, one will see that it is very, very difficult actually to find this Shuddha Bhakti, this pure bhakti, where there is no other desire, no other motivation, no desire for even salvation or liberation, no desire for any kind of, like I want this in return of this. And just a simple, so then what is the positive desire there? There's only one desire, that how I can please Krishna. I can do something for the pleasure of Krishna. So it's a highest, and it's a very rare thing. And it's so rare that Krishna will happily award liberation. It is described in Nectar of Devotion that it's very easy actually to get liberation in the process of bhakti. It's almost like a fringe benefit. It's not difficult at all. But Krishna is he holds back this platform of pure bhakti. And why is that? Because this pure bhakti can completely control Krishna. So the only thing that can actually control Krishna is this pure bhakti. And Krishna says that in the Bhagavad Gita, where he says, Bhaktya mam abhijananti. He says that only by pure devotional service can I be known. And not just that he can be known, but he can actually be bound by the ropes of this love. And so it's very, very rare. And so this is this rare platform of pure bhakti that Lord Chaitanya came to offer to all of us. The rarest, highest, loftiest perfection, because there are so many different goals, even in the practice of spiritual life, that one could plug into. And depending on the goal that we set for ourselves, we can actually take on particular practices. So when we set the goal for just unadulterated, unalloyed bhakti, pure bhakti, then that becomes our goal. And then the process to attain that is also very, very special. And that process was actually given by Lord Chaitanya. So since this is such an important verse, and then this verse again, Bhakti Parishanubhava Viraktir, so this is also an important verse where it describes that, when you perform this pure bhakti, then you don't need a certificate from someone that says, yes, you are a practitioner of pure bhakti, but rather that pure bhakti completely satisfies. So just like when you eat a really good meal, then three things happen, right? You feel your hunger goes away, you feel satisfaction, and you find superior strength. So in the same way, when you practice this pure bhakti, then automatically one doesn't have to walk on this path of renunciation, but automatically one develops a genuine disinterest in the material world. And then hearts or ourselves become completely filled with happiness, and we find this spiritual strength with which to execute. So I'll just pause here and see if you have any thoughts or any questions or comments. Anything that you heard that stood out for you, or anything that I said that resonated with you, or if you have, yeah, go ahead. Pratibha, any thoughts from you? Tapas Prabhu, go ahead, Tapas Prabhu.
I think one thing that really stood out or stuck to me is I think the last sentence where it says that by austerity and all you can achieve something, but that desire to enjoy will not go away unless you are completely dissolved in bhakti. So that was thing that really, and I have personally experienced it. Like, since you do something, some finances and all, and so you enjoy, you attain some peace of mind, then the desire is still there to enjoy, and then again you feel that after a month or after a week you are back to not the same spot, but you have come down few stairs down the ladder that you have climbed.
Yeah, that's a good point. That unless and until the desire is taken care of at the root, we cannot really, because these desires are very powerful. There are some skaras, there are impressions that we are carrying from countless lifetime. So bhakti is actually rechanneling those desires. So thank you. Shweta? Yes, Nandakumar Prabhu. Go ahead, Nandakumar Prabhu.
No, I just want to ask if when you reach, the state of pure bhakti, is there, is there any chance that you will fall from that, or is that Krishna will take care of that not happening?
Yeah, everything is connecting back to the Bhagavad Gita. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that even if a person who's executing bhakti, if he falls down for some reason, just like in Ajamila's case, he was not a Shuddha Bhakta, but he was definitely a very, he was an established Brahmana, and yet there was a fall down. This fall down of a devotee is actually just a temporary glitch. It's just a temporary glitch. There's no loss. Bhagavatam, there's a verse that says that even in the path of bhakti, if a person actually closes both their eyes and they just run, then also there's no danger of tripping and falling. So it's very, very powerful. And Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that if my devotee performs a very abominable act, that person is still to be considered saintly. Why? Because he's properly situated. And along with that, if he simply just continues on the process of bhakti, he will very quickly, he will get purified and he'll get reinstated. So that's the reason why, atonement was rejected right in the very beginning. Right? In the very beginning of this chapter, of this canto, Maharaj Parikshit, he rejects the process of atonement. There's no need for any atonement, any separate atonement. The process of bhakti itself is all purifying. So if one simply, because sometimes this may happen to each one of us, that we are practicing, and then all of a sudden we may go through a period or a day even, or 2 days or 3 days or whatever, where we're not, we find ourselves slipping a little. That's the nature. Or we think I should be operating on this level of bhakti and then I'm not able to do it. So sometimes what happens is that we may get very discouraged and we may say, oh, this is too difficult. Oh, it's so hard for me to overcome my tendencies in my mind. So I may just give up. But what is described is that the process of bhakti itself is the greatest of all purifiers. So just like when a child is learning how to walk, the ability to walk is actually innate in the child. And yet when the child first starts to learn to walk, he may trip and fall. But if he simply picks himself up again, it simply just continues. Not spending too much time lamenting and crying over the fall down, but rather just picking oneself up and just continuing on. The process is so powerful that very soon that person will be able to actually rise to a much higher standard of bhakti. So there's no place for any discouragement.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Yeah.
This verse reminds me of a very nice Aurea bhajan that I heard. The line, basically it goes like this, that one gopi is telling the other gopi that, hey, you're going to get water. Krishna will be there. Don't look at Krishna, because once you fall in love with him, you will not like anything in this world.
Yeah, that's an Aurea bhajan. It's interesting because that's actually a verse by Rupa Goswami. Okay. And he says, if you really want to enjoy friendship, society, friendship, love, then please do not go to the banks of the river Yamuna where Krishna is playing on the flute in his three-bended form. Because if and so of course it's a negative, it's sort of a roundabout way of saying that, because if you go and see him, right, then you will not be able to enjoy your society, friendship, and love. Right. So yeah, very nice. Thank you. Anybody else? Shweta, Shama Bhakti, Sarita, Nil Kamat, Amrita. By the way, Amrita, your testimonial
Krishna.
was really, really nice. Thank you so much for the testimonial.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I just had one question. Like, just we know what pure bhakti is, but at what point, like, how can we get to that stage? Is the question. We know that the chanting helps to purify us, but how long and how can we get to that point is my question.
Very, very, very good question. So here is the thing that it's a process, and so as we have discussed, and perhaps we could go even deeper into it, that bhakti starts with a little bit of shraddha, a little bit of faith, that there is maybe something I want to understand, or maybe these people are you. What is the step of bhakti? Next step of bhakti is sadhu sangha, which means that you start associating with those people who are more advanced than you and who are walking on this path of bhakti. So that's called sadhu sangha. Then the third stage of bhakti is what's called bhajana kriya, which means that now one takes up the practices of bhakti. So the practices of bhakti are, the process of chanting every day, reading, this coming together, this association. There are 9 processes of bhakti. So that we start practicing. Now, after that is what comes the longest phase of bhakti, which is called anartha nivritti. So artha nivritti means, so artha means something of value. And then when you put an there, so that means not of any value. So we are actually carrying a lot of stuff inside of us, which is completely useless and of no value. Some of the things that we are carrying is our anger, our lust, our greed, and it has many subtle forms as well. Desire for this, desire for that. So when we start the process of bhakti, then the process of purification starts. So that purification, what happens is that all of these anarthas, or all of these unwanted things within us, they start to surface up. And then by the power of the chanting, then all those unnecessary, unwanted things, they start to leave us, or we become purified of those unwanted things. Now, once most of those unwanted things are actually purified from our heart. Again, there's a verse in the Shrimad Bhagavatam that just by this process of hearing and chanting, most of the effects of this Rajo and Tamo gun is gone. Then one attains the next level of bhakti, which is called nishtha. So nishtha bhakti means a stage of bhakti where one is no longer unsteady. So in the process of anartha nivritti, there is unsteadiness in our practices. So today I wake up and I say, yeah, I want to give myself completely and this is it. And then 2 days later, I have this like, oh, I am not feeling inspired, but I don't know, like all these doubts, and one day you're enthusiastic, one day we are not. So all those are actually aspects of this anishtita bhakti, or also the process of anartha nivritti. But once all of these unwanted things go away from us, then we enter into what's called the stage of nishtha bhakti. So on the stage of nishtha bhakti, we are like steady as a rock, and our minds will not drift anywhere. So it's a very elevated position of the practice of bhakti. And then after you're done with this anartha nivritti, then the passage after that is very fast. So from there, then you come into the place of bhava, and then it goes on and on. It's bhava, asakti, what is bhava, ruchi, asakti, then prema, like that. It continues on. It's all the way to prema. But for us, our immediate since we are all practicing and chanting, our immediate phase that we have to deal with is this process of anartha nivritti. And you're asking, how long does that take? Well, it takes as long as we would like it to take. But in general, it is a process.
Anartha nivritti, how long does it take? Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji, just 1 second. Let me just make sure, Amrita. Yes, Amrita, did that help?
Yeah, that definitely helps. I guess it's a long process.
But you have lots of help, so we should not think that it's going to last forever and I may never come out of it. As long as we are sincere. Hare Krishna, Prabhu, please accept our just hold on 1 second. You got a call from important call that I need to take. So you guys carry on the discussion.
Okay. Just get them to carry on.
Like a jailer or a warden, that he knows that we are struggling with our material condition nature, and it's not going to get over in one day. So he has the best intentions for us, and then he's willing to give us whatever time we need. We just need to be clear in our heart, and then be straightforward in our heart.
So any thoughts? Dominic, any thoughts from you?
Yeah, I was a little scared there at first because I feel like I do struggle sometimes with like bad habits that I have, where like if I go a day or two without chanting, I'll feel bad about it. But ever since I've been introduced to bhakti, it's like the process of getting to pure bhakti. You always go back to it, and you go back to it for longer and with more dedication. So I definitely feel that it's working, but my human condition is a little messy still, but it's definitely getting less messy and more towards that pure bhakti and consciousness that I'm looking for.
Wonderful. Yes. And you're right. I mean, it takes time, our conditioning. We cannot intellectualize away our conditioning, nor can we just trifle them and say, yeah, no, those conditioning are part of, we've been with that for countless lifetimes. Prabhupada says that we have been conditioned for time, since time immemorial. So, one thing that Vaisheshika Prabhu, who just called, and he's, we've been so blessed by his presence in our life, something he said that really, really helped us. He said that the distance that we have to go is much shorter than the distance we have already come. So we've already made, the fact that we are getting together evening time, studying the Bhagavatam, studying the Bhagavad Gita, we may not be able to fully appreciate the magnitude of this activity, but it's already means that, this lifetime. We have another devotee friend, and he says that this lifetime is the success life, that I've ever had. So in this sense, we have so much to be optimistic and happy about, that this lifetime we're getting this opportunity, and that's very amazing. Krishna understands that we have some conditioned nature, and as long as we are honest about it and we just keep trying, we won't pure the result.
Yeah, there's nothing to be ashamed of. Like, we have a conditioned nature. It's like a patient in a hospital. I mean, everybody's a patient in the hospital, right? And there's nothing to be whatever about it. We accept our condition and then just let the doctor do the work. So, and then we can actually become healthy again. So we just continue to chant Krishna's names, hear about him, talk about him, and then just by this simple process, very soon we'll be out of here.
In fact, we would go as far as to say that we should not suppress. We should not try to deny, because sometimes as practicing devotees, we may have a tendency to say, well, I just don't want to see that side of me. But then, whenever we try to suppress something, then that thing only becomes stronger, because it takes energy to suppress something. So it's better to bring that to Krishna. When we are chanting, we can just say, yes, Krishna, I this is who I am right now. And Krishna, just like any person in a healthy relationship, why do we love someone? When that person is upfront with us, what are some of the qualities we like in a person? We like people who are honest, authentic, right? People with integrity. These are the qualities we like. So we can also be very authentic with Krishna and say, yes, I have these struggles, but I'm trying to approach you. And then by the power of Krishna's association, then very quickly those things will go away from our heart. Thank you, Dominic. Thank you. Daryl Ashley, yeah, we'll stop here. Shweta, Chandana ji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, am I audible?
Yes. Yes.
I have a question. Like in one round we, do 108 times like chanting, and if we leave halfway due to some reason, is it a sin? Is it a sin or
no, not at all, not at all. See, chanting, we have to kind of consider chanting as something very different from regular ritualistic activities. It is something, it's like a parent, like a child talking to the parents, right? And there is no formality there, and it's a relationship of love, not of some kind of discipline or something. So there's no offense, and if you have to leave in the middle, that's okay. I mean, you just come back and pick it up, and Krishna is not like a ringmaster running us around like that. So
Yeah.
there's no
That's
offense,
what
there's no
I-
sin here.
That's what I always wondered. Like we hear so many things. Like if you don't do this, God will be angry, and I don't think it happens. I mean, parents don't get angry with their kids, so there should be a relationship of love, I think.
Yeah, and that's why Krishna is sitting in our heart for millions of lifetimes. He never leaves us. If Krishna were to get angry with us, what hope do we have?
Yeah.
Right? He never gets angry. Krishna, see, this is one thing that we have to understand. Krishna's love for us is 1000% guaranteed, no matter what we do. No matter who we are, no matter what we do and what we will do in the future. That love is never going to go away. And that love will always increase as Krishna is unlimited. So that love is just out from our side. We just have to accept that and then recognize that it's not something, we can never do anything that will turn off that love from Krishna's side.
I think if you remember that, then we will have less tendency to turn away from him. Because
Yes.
then we'll be knowing that he's so kind, so we need to do something good for him.
Yeah, and
So-
even if we do something bad, then still we are his children, and then he's not going to turn away. But we don't want to take advantage of that and just keep doing. But yeah, the thing is that we should have that sense of security with Krishna.
Well, he could definitely twist our ears a little bit.
Yeah, he could do that. Just like a loving parent would do. That is also a sign of love, right? If I don't care about somebody, then punishment is also a sign of love. You only or correct somebody when that person is close to you. Otherwise, you don't do that.
All right. So thank you so much. It's 8:35.
Thank you all. So we are leaving this Friday to India, and we seek your blessings, all of you. Please pray for us and
have a safe journey, Prabhu. And when you reach there, please let us know.
Yes.
Yes.
And then we will join you again. Monday might be tight, but we'll join you again on Friday. So we'll have the classes going forward, I think, on Mondays and Fridays. And then once we settle down, then we'll also start on January 10th. We'll start the Sunday morning Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah, that reminds me.
Sunday evening.
Sunday evening. So if you have any friends, please, we have our flyer. Please, circulate it. And yeah, I think it'll be fun. I think if all of you also come, you can also support the new batch.
Yeah.
I think that is now the next level of your Krishna consciousness is, be there, be active. Maybe some of the questions, maybe you guys can attempt to answer, for them. So that'll be fun. All right. So thank you. Take care.
Okay. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, safe travels.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Have a nice and happy trip.
Thank you.
Thank
so
you,
much.
Safe
Ashita.
one too.
Have a safe trip, Didi Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Hare Krishna,
Sarita.
Sarita.
Hare Krishna.
Safe travels.
Oh, actually, Mataji had a question. I'm so sorry. I completely forgot.
Praneshwari Mataji?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mataji.
She left, I guess. Mataji left.
Okay.
Oh, I am here.
No,
She's
she
here.
I
I
see.
saw her. Yes,
Yeah.
Mataji has had. Sorry about that.
मतलब मेरा क्वेश्चन था कि अर्थ निवृत्ति की जो प्रवृत्ति है वो तो लास्ट तक चलती ही रहती है।
हाँ.
अर्थ निवृत्ति और निष्ठा में एक प्रकार का पूरा बहुत पास का कनेक्शन है।
हाँ.
क्योंकि अनर्थ निवृत्ति तो कभी खत्म ही नहीं होती। और जब तक एसोसिएशन और प्रभुपाद की बुक्स ना पढ़ते रहो, यदि इनको छोड़ते हैं 15 दिन के लिए तो बहुत डगमगा जाता है सब कुछ।
हाँ. ये तो है। तो ये तो मतलब यही, इसीलिए हम तथाष्ट हैं, इसीलिए हमको तथाष्ट शक्ति बोली जाती है कि जैसे ही हम कृष्ण के शरण को छोड़ते हैं तो माया हमको आके ऐसे दबोच लेती है, राइट। तो इसीलिए हमारी जो साधना भक्ति है वो हम इसीलिए इसको बहुत निश्चय दृढ़ता के साथ उसको हम करते हैं। लेकिन करते 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 फिर एक समय आता है जब हम उसको, अभी तो हम नियम के हिसाब से कर रहे हैं, फिर समय आएगा जब हम उसको नियम के हिसाब से नहीं करेंगे बल्कि एक रुचि के हिसाब से करेंगे। So when that happens, Ashley and Daryl, for your sake, I guess she's asking does it ever end, this process of anartha nivritti? So it does. In the beginning, we are doing things as a regulation. But at some point, the regulation will become like a taste. And then also we will continue. So it's not that, after we become advanced, then suddenly the process will change. The process will remain the same, but what will change is us. So right now we do it because, I have to chant my rounds every day. It's something that will help me purify myself. But later, we can't stop chanting. We can't stop serving. We can't stop reading Bhagavatam. So then it'll become spontaneous, raganuga bhakti, spontaneous bhakti.
ये एसोसिएशन की बड़ी जरूरत रहती है, सबसे बड़ी
Association.
Association. सबसे ज़्यादा ज़रूरी association ही है. It's actually Krishna consciousness is actually association of devotees. So as long as we are associating, Krishna will keep taking us to the next level and to the next.
तो इसलिए आप क्लासेस कम मत करना.
नहीं करेंगे, बिल्कुल भी नहीं करेंगे. We will continue. That is actually we are only increasing because we'll be because of Amrita. She was suggesting कि हम लोग chanting करेंगे. तो एक बार हम वहाँ settle हो जाएंगे, उसके बाद we will chant together every day, because that's really the, of course we want to know the philosophy and we want to understand, but really it's the chanting. So we'll talk about chanting and we'll chant together. So that'll be really nice.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare